Namaste. Welcome to the beginning of another live Sangha. As we begin our Shravana today, I would like to begin with an invocation to the Omkar 3 times, followed by the Gayatri Mantra. If you know it, you're welcome to join along with me. Swaha tatsaviturvarenyam bhargo devasya dhimahi dhiyo yonah prachodayat. Thank you. Namaste, dear Magdalene. Radhe Radhe. I'm happy to be here, and as we continue to await our fellow guests to arrive, our Sangis, allow me to set the intention for this space as being a welcoming environment, open to everyone, regardless of background, identity, orientation, belief system, etc. May we come together to seek the unity in each other's hearts, to express ourselves freely, take refuge in each other's experiences, and uplift each other through positive sentiments. This is my intention for the space. Hello, dear Osiris from Israel. Welcome. I trust that all those who are joining are as well as they can be in this moment. Take a moment to assess how you're feeling. You don't even have to put a label on it or describe it. Just acknowledge the space of this body, this mind, and the world around. And know that it's okay for it to be the way it is, as it's changing, and everything possible as the assistance of you. You are that which is empowered to bring out the possibilities according to your own talents, aspirations, and timeline. I'm happy to hear that, dear Osiris. There's a lot of conflict around the world, and where you live is no exception to that. It can feel quite overwhelming, and of course we wish for it to be resolved, for peace and justice to prevail. When we are feeling overwhelmed by that, I think the most we can do is remind ourselves just to be kind. Sometimes that's the most that we can do. Ask ourselves, was I kind today? Did I bring out love and acceptance and compassion? If so, that's enough to have a pretty good day, I think. And it's amazing how big of a difference that can make. It seems like such a small thing, but just going into the day with an attitude of positivity, it's infectious. People remember that, even if they don't remember the exact words, the exact actions, or who they came from. It resonates with something deep inside. Good morning, dear Johanna. Welcome. Namaste, dear Michael. Namaste, yay, it's Amy. You swear that I grew this mustache overnight. Seems like that. Namaskaram, dear Ragnhildar. I'm happy to be here with you all. Now, I would love to showcase something very cool from one of you in another section of our show and tell. Today I'd like to share with you just a single photograph. And sometimes that's enough for show and tell. It's a photo taken by Melinda, and she had described it as a distortion in the moment. Check this out. I think it's pretty cool. I'll read to you about it. This photo was taken 8 years ago in October, and it has no filter, nor is it edited, just a distortion in the moment. Might take a second to figure out what's going on. You can see that there's kind of two realities. One which seems to be above the clouds, and another which is below. Almost kind of looks like when you try to take a photo with the panorama feature turned on, and you go and move it, and then it stitches those two frames together in a funny way. But this is vertical. And you can even see that in the lower clouds, there is just between the two cars, the higher and the lower car, there's a cloud-shaped roof of the car too. It's very interesting. Very symbolic too. It's like the top car is driving in the sky. Two horizons, one lower, one higher. I think that's pretty neat. And I think this is a pretty lovely photo. It's a magnificent photo, shares Lani. I'm happy to hear that. That's cool, shares Maitreya. I love that. Yeah. We've had some pretty interesting show and tell so far, but sometimes something as simple as this is worthy of being shared. So thank you, dear All Divine Maze, for sharing that. Kind of like Twilight Zone vibe, shares Gregard G. Yes. And hello. And I'm happy you find it a cool photo too, dear Ragnhildar. So that was a distortion in the moment. Thank you for watching. Or looking, I guess. If anyone had their own photo they wanted to share, you're welcome to submit one in the show and tell section. In the link tree in my bio, there's a show and tell application form. So you're more than welcome to submit something like that. Thank you. And welcome all those who joined while we were showcasing that. Namaste, dear Usha Bai. Good day, dear user 857. And hello, Maitreya. Bonsoir and namaste, dear Karen. You share that you're playing Minecraft while watching my live, Maitreya. I love that. Very relaxing game. Until you don't sleep for 3 days and the phantoms start coming. Very annoying update that is. Namaste, dear Sky Guardian. Yes, we're talking about your favorite game. But my day has been really well. I woke up earlier today, which is a blessing because I've been wanting to do that. And then I made a meal for myself, falafel wrap, and oh my goodness, I can't believe I fit that all in my tummy. I'm feeling very bloated. So much of one thing, but it was tasty. I'll be digesting as I do the Sangha. And bonsoir, dear Etol, if I can pronounce your name better, please let me know. I am in Canada on the west coast on an island called Vancouver. Dear Greg RG, you share, speaking of crafting minds, how about that Kailasha? The mountain? You go mining in Kailasha, I'm sure you find some gems, some precious stones you'll never find anywhere else. Etol is like star. It's very beautiful. Well, I know how to pronounce that. What was the show and tell? Share Sky Guardian, you missed it? Well, I'd be happy to show it for you again. Just for a second. It was an interesting phenomenon. You know what? It doesn't... Oh, there it is. She said this photo was not edited from All Divine Maze, but yet somehow it looks like it is. Some kind of glitch or miracle occurred while she was taking this photo, and two skies, two horizons, one higher, one lower. Pretty neat. Many blessings, dear Syntax Siren. Thank you. Yes. As we are meant to bring love to this world, we have to start with the first part of that world, which we have to give love to. The closest part, our mind, our body, and then once that's full of love, we can use that to disperse love all around us. Dear Greg RG, you share. You think they said that Shiva or Vishnu carved Kailasha with some kind of weapon, and you feel like it may go deep in the ground too. That's a fascinating piece of mythology. I wonder. What a great reminder, dear Maitreya. Love all, serve all, remember God. Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Thank you, dear Syntax. You wish there were more like me around? Well, I think that'd be terrifying. I'd hate to wake up and go, oh my goodness, there I am, there I am, there I am. At the same time, we all already are one in our source. But if there's any possibility that I may reflect on you, then the best place to start with that endeavor is, again, in oneself. Hello, dear Kelsey. I'm happy to hear that, Sky Guardian. That sounds very lovely. I would like for you to do that also. Hello, dear G2 Infinity. Hello, dear Lex. And welcome, dear Assad. You were all right in time to read from another section of our book, Hollywood, the Himalayas. I hope this reading is meant for you. Let's read a very small chapter. Chapter 32, called Challenges and Prayers. It's only 2 pages. My days at the ashram were filled with seva. That's a Sanskrit word that means selfless service. Correspondence, preparation of brochures and newsletters, follow-up with important people regarding important projects, the chief editor of the Encyclopedia of Hinduism and the administrator in charge, to be sure that assigning, writing, editing and receiving articles was all on schedule, following up with local government officials on various environmental projects we undertook in the area. Land to put the wandering cows on, land for a trash dump so it won't go into the Ganga, the holy river, land for tree plantations. I also ghost wrote articles and books for Pujya Swamiji, channeling his words into my head. So many people were thirsty for this wisdom, it had to be put down and published in book form. I closed my eyes at my computer and typed as he dictated soundlessly into the space of my own brain. I oversaw our burgeoning educational programs, raising funds from devotees to build and renovate schools and women's vocational training programs. We formed the Youth Education Services, the YES Project, a precursor to the Divine Shakti Foundation, the DSF Project, that included the schools and women's programs. And I prayed a lot to be worthy of the life that was given to me, to be divine, to expand into the space created by my name, Bhagwati. And I struggled. I struggled with Indians doubting me, being suspicious of the white girl who clearly was up to no good. At one point, a journalist published an article stating that I was a Jewish American spy sent to dismantle one of India's largest and most renowned spiritual institutions, and criticized Pujya Swamiji for his inability to see the obvious and throw me out. Wow. I struggled with people's inability to understand that, really, all I wanted was to give back to this place, this land, and the culture that had given me so much. And yes, I was aware of my inadequacies. I was unworthy, yes, but a spy? No. I struggled with people assuming I was Pujya Swamiji's mistress. People who projected their own impression of men onto my guru, who actually knew neither man nor woman, but only soul. Don't worry about them, he would say. They will understand one day. But I can't bear that my presence is bringing you or the ashram a bad name. I would respond, crying, just send me back. It'll be so much better for you. He would hear nothing of it, and chastised me for being so affected by gossip. They just don't have any other work to do, he told me, so they gossip. You are here for something much greater. Do not waste your time. Pujya Swamiji runs a huge risk by opening the doors of Paramarth Niketan to Western women. The Indian religious world of renunciates prides itself on the distance it keeps from women. There are no women allowed in here at all, is often stated with an air of superiority. It's a world in which male leaders judge themselves and others by the distance or lack of distance that is kept from women. He roams around with women is the worst insult one could make about a spiritual leader. Whether or not one is insinuating a physical or sensual relationship, the simple act of roaming around with a woman is, in and of itself, cause for censure. The fallout that Pujya Swamiji has faced over the years due to my presence and the presence of a large number of Western female sevaks, selfless servants, cannot be overstated. And his answer is always, I see only the heart and devotion, not the gender. If God keeps sending me devoted sevaks who want to serve selflessly for humanity in the form of women, that is who will do the seva. When God sends men with that much devotion, we will take them too. For me, it's always been a struggle, hearing that I am, simply by my existence in a female form already defective and a liability. A renowned saint once said to me, "I will pray for you that in your next life you may be born as a boy so you won't have this difficulty." I was touched by his intent, but the comment was infuriating. "I don't want to be a boy in my next life," I seethed to myself after our meeting and my blessing. "Why can't you pray for a culture that sees girls as being as inherently valuable as boys? Why can't you pray for a culture that isn't suspicious and judgmental? Why can't you pray to purify people's eyes?" That is the 32nd chapter. Thank you for listening. Yes, how infuriating indeed. We've come so far as a civilization, and yet have so far to go, it seems still. But it makes me happy to know that there are great saints such as Pujya Swamiji who, we're finally ready to move past those social customs, which is really what they are. They're not based in any kind of spiritual truth, just an archaic tradition, which it is certainly more than time to let go of. We should respect the differences in our biology, that's for sure, but in the context in which our biology is not relevant, such as when it comes to our mind, our spirit, which are fluid and transcendental to gender respectively, then we need not create such differences. The soul is one, that source is one. All forms of expression can be found within. Namaste. Since that was a very short chapter, I would love to read the next one after that, which is also pretty short, but I'll have a nice interim. And thank you, dear John Simon, for the heart me and baby penguin that you sent. And thank you, dear Ushabai, for Tom's hug. I like Tom. Tom looks like a little teddy bear. Tom the teddy bear. Thank you. Namo Bhagavate Rudraya. Welcome everyone who joined while we were reading. Hello, dear Shar. I'm doing well, thank you for asking. How are you? And hello, dear Adalberto. Dear Gregorji, may share that story was like Buddha Tara. Chloe told me of her today. Buddha Tara said that she would keep reincarnating as a woman until she saves every soul from samsara. I love that. That's beautiful. I think what a blessing it is to be born a woman. What a blessing it is to have femininity flow through your veins, through your lungs, into your heart and out. She is the gift of creation. She is music, she is art, she is culture, she is nature. Thank you for sending love and peace, dear user 364. Welcome, dear Lex. And thank you, dear Shar, for your pair of baby hippos and a hand heart. Here's some for you. Radhe Radhe. And dear Hybrid Jen, thank you for your pumpkin. Gring Kalikaye Namaha. And dear Maitreya, Thank you for your rose. Om Namah Shakti Shivaya. You know what? I think we can answer dear Sadhviji's question. Why not pray for a culture which is tolerant of the diversity of gender and spiritual tradition? Pray for the purity of people's eyes. Pray for equality. Why don't we do so? If that saint isn't, then let us, just for a moment at least, let us pray that the first thing that someone sees in a person is not what appears on the surface, but instead the realization that before you is a soul which is untouched by the expression without, and within has the whole universe contained, a soul that is equal to all other souls. For there is truly only one that I share a part of with you and everyone and everything in this world and universe. Let us pray that just as we hold up the Father as a synonym for the divine, let us remember that that Holy Father could not also exist without the Divine Mother, Mother Nature, Holy Father. They are inseparable companions, creator and creation, nature and consciousness, source and expression, egg and seed, stillness and dynamism. They cannot exist without each other, and may we see both within everyone. May we recognize, regardless of the gender, that our bodies come from our mother. All of the elements from the Great Mother, Mother Nature, and our seed, our origin from our Father, and the seed of consciousness from the Great Father, the Holy Father, the Spirit. May we recognize the duality of both within everyone. Thank you, dear John Simon, for the finger heart too. Ram Ram. And dear Adalberto, you share you need advice. A girl you like keeps sending mixed signals but says she likes you. What should you do? Don't overthink it. Just continue being as you are. You know, I never felt that it was necessary to be thinking about moves. You know, what moves should I take, or what advance, or when it's ready. Just continue to be kind, continue to be loving, and if it naturally arises, you know, hey, there's something I'd love to do with you. Would you be interested? And if they feel like, yeah, it's something they want to do, great. And if that arises within their minds too, wonderful. But don't force it. Just be friends, you know? Friendship is the basis of all relationships. There cannot be anything further without friendship. And in friendship, there's no thought process behind how you are going to be. You just are. Naturally, you feel joyful in each other's company, and whatever expression of joy you wish to pursue together or endure together, that's wonderful. Whenever someone sent mixed signals in my dating life, I would just wait. If they really want to experience something deeper with me, I will wait until that naturally arises. I'm not gonna play some game of you do this, I do that, and then we hide and wait for each other's reactions. Just have a kind of patience for something to naturally develop. No need to label it as anything at all. If you are already enjoying each other's company, that's wonderful. What more could you ask? Anything more than that is just an idea that society has placed on how things could be. But if you're already having fun talking to each other, enjoying each other's space and presence, then that's it. You already have something special. It doesn't need a label, and it doesn't need to change. But if it does, then go with the flow. Now, who sent me a gift? Dear Isabella, thank you for the cheer you up, the heart me and team bracelet that you sent. Hari Om Tat Sat. And dear Nish, thank you for the heart me that you sent too. Om Dum Dargaye Namaha. Dear Hybrid Jen, thank you for your witchy kitty. Om Gamlir Maha Kali Kaye Namaha. And Deanna, thank you for your heart me and team bracelet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. You're very welcome, dear Hexakin. Thank you for being so open to what I have to say. Thank you, dear Tatvamasi, for your quintet of roses. Om Namo Bhagavate Rudraya. And Yo Alva, thank you for the rose you sent. Radhe Radhe. Dear Hexagon, you share, but once you're in their friend zone, you're effed up. I think what a blessing it is to be friends. I hope to start in the friend zone always, and I hope to end in the friend zone always. I hope to never leave the friend zone. Because the friend zone is the best zone to be in. That's where true love exists. Between two lovers, they must be best friends. Shouldn't they? The purest relationship that can be is between two best friends. Yeah. Just because you're not exploring each other's physicality doesn't mean that you can't be happy. In fact, so much of a relationship can be sucked out by trying to extract happiness from each other's physicality. You know? So many relationships end because you almost get addicted to the idea that to have a relationship means that we must be involved physically. But this does not have to be. The most precious moments that are going to be in your mind, if you think at the end of your life, just imagine yourself as a little old lady or old man in bed. You're probably going to be thinking about those times that you were just laughing endlessly together. the times in which you were frolicking through a field and you weren't supposed to because you were trespassing on someone's land. Maybe it's the time that you were dancing and you accidentally smashed through a window because you just couldn't help. You couldn't contain yourself. Time in which you were drawing on each other's backs, or just holding hands, sitting on a bench, watching the sunset, you know. These are the real moments, and you can do that with anybody. Everybody. And thank you, dear Sharon, for the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tiny tinies. Thank you. Yippee! That made you place your hand over your heart. Cheers, Magdalene. Oh, I'm happy that resonated. Hello, dear Dalen. And thank you, dear Ushabai, for the 37 roses. That's one more than a square, which is the sum of 2 squares. Yeah, 6 squared plus 1 squared. And that's the difference between 2 squares as well, isn't it? Six minus the imaginary number I times 6 plus the imaginary number I. The imaginary component cancels out and you get 37. If you want to know where my mind's at. Thank you, Up to Freeway, for the heart me that you sent. Om Ganganapataye Namaha. And Maitreya, thank you for your rose. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. And dear Hybrid-Gen, thank you for your little crown. Ram Ram. I'm going to put everyone to sleep with math. But then again, sleep is important, so is that really a bad thing? Thank you, Diana, for the tiny that you sent to him. Yahoo! Good night, dear Deanna. Oh, yes, please get some sleep. But isn't that right, dear Isabella? It's the smallest details that make it worthwhile. Thank you, Isabella, for your trio of roses. Jai Satchitananda. Alright, someone with the username of 2 eyes looking like fire, a comet, or a meteor, and nails getting painted. That's what this means. My goodness, you are looking at this great ball of fire shooting through the sky. You're like, wow, that's the way Mother Nature decorates herself. She doesn't need nail polish. She decorates herself with comets and shooting stars and meteorites. Anyway, user 935, you share. You've been feeling a little excluded from your friends and lonely. What to do? Well, someone excludes you, don't exclude yourself. What that means is that if you're not feeling included, at least include yourself in what you are doing right now. Okay. Maybe they're doing something without you. Maybe they're talking about something that doesn't involve you. But you shouldn't make yourself feel excluded. You shouldn't add to that exclusion. Make yourself feel included in what you're doing already. Make yourself feel like they're the ones missing out on everything that's happening here. I've got a party in my body. I've got all of the good sensations flowing. I got bliss. I got ecstasy. I got euphoria. I got pleasure. I got joy. I got happiness. All of my friends in the form of these emotions are right with me. They're the ones missing out. Include yourself in all the good stuff. If you keep thinking about all the things that you're not a part of, then you're excluding yourself from all the goodness that's available in here. All right. I wanted to read from another chapter of this book with you. Remember, your best friend is the universe. And look around you. Your best friend's right here. You can touch it. Universe all around, never leaving you. Dear Hexagon, you share that sometimes you have so many questions for me. Do I ever think about doing an AMA and ask me anything? Well, you are always welcome to ask me anything, but I'm more interested in you, you know? Alright, you'll learn a piece of trivia about me. So what? You know, my goal is not to be interesting to you. My goal is to make yourself so interesting that you never feel like you have to go anywhere else. That you discover everything interesting within. Thank you, dear Maya, for your trio of roses. Radhi, Radhi. And thank you for your trio of roses, dear Isabella. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Thank you, dear Jennifer, for your heart meal. Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushti Vardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyam Amritat. That was a mantra. This chapter 33, is titled Mantra. Or if you want to be an American, mantra. We're learning about mantras, y'all. November 1998. I woke up early, long before the alarm went off at 4:30 in the morning. The excited beat of my heart, despite the early hour, and despite the fact that I'm not a morning person, reminded me of waking up on Christmas mornings. Having a decorated Christmas tree and surrounding its base with presents is an inextricable part of American life, regardless of if one is Christian or not. My goodness, could you imagine voluntarily waking up at 4:30 in the morning that happy? Only by Christmas 1983, this is 15 years prior, when I was 12 years old, 3 months before my bat mitzvah, did I question whether observant Jews should be celebrating Christmas with such vigor. Till then, it had been an unquestioned given. The excitement of knowing that the day would be filled with gifts pulled me from slumber at dawn. Today, in India, while the sense of excitement was similar and my heart beat with the same anticipatory joy. The presents wouldn't be wrapped in paper and tied with bows. Today I was receiving a mantra. Wow, that is something very, very sacred that we're going to be made a part of by reading this. I'm sure that our dear author will tell us about what that means, but I'll give you a little context. When you're ready, and sometimes it may take years until then, a guru may give you a mantra just for you and no one else, specially designed with the precise spiritual phonetics to bring about your realization. Not all traditions do this, but it is very traditional in tantric and yogic traditions of India. Today, she is receiving a mantra. It was Thursday, November 26th, 1998, Thanksgiving morning. The auspicious date was chosen not by the science of Vedic astrology, but by my Western sentimental sensibility. Also, Thursdays in the Hindu tradition are dedicated to the Guru. Each day of the week is named after and dedicated to a particular manifestation of the divine. Thursday is called Guruvar in Hindi, the day of the Guru. Thus, Thanksgiving, always celebrated on Thursday, seemed the perfect day to get a mantra. I had been asking Swamiji for a mantra for nearly 2 years, since I had heard him speak about its power. That a mantra is the master key to stilling the mind and achieving an expanded state of consciousness. I wanted a mantra immediately, but he wouldn't give me one. Just wait, he said. Would the alchemical power of the Sanskrit sound be too much for my consciousness, the boundaries of which were already melting into the world around me? Was my experience still too fragile to be able to handle the additional energy? My psyche was a crucible, already cooked and cracked by the fire of the experiences I was having. Would a mantra shatter the vessel irreparably? Or was he worried about what my parents would think? I'm not sure why it took him 2 years to agree to give a mantra. Whether it was careful, deliberate titration of my spiritual progress, or whether he was simply hesitant to initiate an American Jewish girl into the rites of an ancient Vedic culture. My inquiries into the reason for the delay were no more successful than my entreaties for the mantra itself had been. The answer, however, went from no to yes around the 20th month of asking. I love the word choice of titration to describe it. As anyone who's ever taken a chemistry class will know, that's all you do in chemistry. Titration, titration, titration. Where you isolate the essence of some distillation. I did not allow Swamiji's withholding of my mantra to prevent me from trying to reap its benefits. If he wouldn't give me one, I'd make one up. After all, Swamiji always emphasizes the importance of devotion and sincerity over rote recitation. His lectures are filled with stories, scriptural, historical, and apocryphal, of God's preference for sincerity over expertise, for love over ritual, for spirit of the heart over spirit of the law. His favorite story is of a boy who, not yet knowing the complex invocations, recited the alphabet during the time of silent prayer in the temple. God loves that boy, Swamiji whispered, tears filling his eyes despite the number of times he'd told that story before. For his sincerity and devotion, more than all those who could recite the prayers perfectly, but whose minds were at the office or in the shopping center. So I made up my own mantra. I love you, Krishna. I love you, Krishna. I chanted, carefully turning the beads of the Rudraksha mala I'd received, along with members of Jacqueline's group of Americans, my first month at the ashram, nearly 2 years before. After Swamiji's talk about mantras and the power of japa, repetitive recitation, they all requested sacred mantras. They fared no better than I. Just chant whatever name of God appeals most to you, he told them. It could be Christ, it could be Adonai, it could be Buddha, it could be the word God. Don't worry, God recognizes all names. On the day of their departure, he blessed them all with a string of 108 Rudraksha beads. Not so different than this one. On the day of their departure, he blessed them all with a string of 108 Rudraksha beads. As I had become an honorary member of the group, I received one as well. I love you, Krishna. I love you, Krishna. I moved the beads one by one between my thumb and my ring finger of my right hand. One should never use the pointer finger to do japa, Swamiji explained, as he showed us in slow motion how to turn the beads of the mala, because that finger is the finger we use to scold, so we use the middle finger instead. Sure, one should not admonish God, but one should probably not flip him off either. So without telling Swamiji about my adaptation, I began turning the beads of my mala with my thumb and ring finger. It required more dexterity, but soon became automatic. For nearly 2 years I had done japa with my homemade mantra. Today I would receive a real one. I bathed and washed my hair. In India, bathing has a significance far greater than physical cleanliness. We bathe not just for physical attractiveness or to spare friends our body odor, but also to purify ourselves inside and out before approaching God. No traditional Indian would ever enter even a small temple in their home, let alone take part in the ceremony without first bathing. To bathe is to prepare oneself to encounter God. On our pilgrimages to the sacred areas of Mount Kailash and Lake Mansarovar in Tibet, I marveled at the ability of Indian women to bathe from a bucket of ice-cold water in a makeshift open-to-the-sky tent in the sub-zero temperatures of pre-dawn darkness. Not bathing was as unthinkable to them as stripping off 5 or 6 layers of thermals and woolens and pouring ice water over my naked body was to me. Finally, on the 3rd or 4th day of unobtrusively disappearing at the time the other ladies were bathing, I went to Pujya Swamiji and confessed. "I can't do that," I said. "I will die of pneumonia. Surely God doesn't want that." "Stand here and close your eyes," he said, in yet another instance of what I discovered to be boundless compassion for those of us who had been touched by grace due not to discipline, not to austerity, not to worthiness, not even to conscious seeking, but simply due to the amazingness of grace itself. Soon I heard him chanting verses in Sanskrit. I didn't know or understand except for the word pavitra, purity. Then I felt a light drizzle of water over my head. When I opened my eyes, he was gently splashing the final drops on me. "Now go." Each day on the pilgrimage in the morning, I would come to him, bow at his feet, and receive my shower in the form of Vedic mantras and a gentle sprinkling of water from his hand, a special ritual for his only devotee who couldn't brave an ice-cold bucket bath. That particular privilege was reserved, however, for frigid Tibetan mornings. On all other days, I had to actually bathe. After taking my bath on Thanksgiving Thursday morning, I lit the oil lamp on the temple in my room and began my japa. I love you, Krishna, I chanted, knowing that within a few short hours, that mantra would be replaced by one with true Vedic power. Krishna, of course, would still know that I loved him, but now I would have an official way of saying it. After my meditation, I put on my new sari. It was a delicate golden silk gifted to me several months earlier by a devotee of Swamiji's from Varanasi. With uncharacteristic restraint, I didn't wear it immediately, but put it away for a special occasion. The following February, in 1999, at an event with the Jain community in Singapore, I learned how silk is made, about the torture and death of the silkworms, and swore off silk forever. However, in this moment, before the Singapore trip, oblivious to the violence woven into each thread of my garment, I draped it over myself with joy. The sun rose around 6:30, and I followed the first rays of her light down to the Ganga. As I stood with my feet in Ganga's waters, the sun climbed over the Himalayas behind me, and the moon descended into the sacred river before me. How had I ended up here? Thank you, God, I whispered. It was not, of course, an answer to the question of how this had happened, and yet it was. I would not have coffee this morning, as I needed to fast before receiving my mantra. Fasting before certain rites and rituals is not obligatory, but is recommended. It is said that in lightness of body, we are more receptive to the divine. Weighed down by food, our body is less available to subtle energies and our prana, our life force. The river of grace, as energy flowing through our physical and subtle bodies, gets diverted into the process of digestion. Hence, there's an emphasis on fasting in Hindu tradition. Fasting, though, in modern Indian culture, is quite different from both the Western concept of living on water or juice and the traditional Hindu emphasis on being light and focused to sit with God. The Sanskrit word for fasting, upvas, literally means sitting near to. Near to what? Near to God. So, traditional Hindu fasting is not about dietary restrictions or health or weight loss, but about foregoing food in favor of sitting with God. As the traditional has given birth to the contemporary, fasting in India has undergone great changes. In autumn 1996, during one of my early months in the ashram, I sat in the dining room eating the regular fare of boiled yellow lentils, lightly cooked loki, a zucchini-like squash, and a dry chapati. The man next to me had a plate full of deep-fried potato pakoras and puris, fritters and fried bread, still glistening with ghee, clarified butter, and a bowl of potato stew, the surface layer of which looked like clear ocean water in which an oil tanker had spilled its cargo. He looked down at my plate and disparagingly said, "It's Ekadashi, the sacred 11th day of the month. You're not fasting?" I felt for a moment like I'd been transported to an alternate reality. Were the piles of fried goodies on his plate a hallucination? Had too many months of simple food driven me to become delusional and manifest pakoras on my own retina? No, I responded, as I could think of nothing else to say. "Mph," he retorted, and looked at me with such disdain that I felt like I was sinfully drinking wine with my meal. Halahara, essentially a diet of fruit, is the term used to describe food that is permitted on a fast in India. It can be anything that is not made with grains or legumes, and in some cases any salt other than rock salt. It is meant quite literally to be a diet of fruit, something to lightly sustain the body while one engages in deep spiritual disciplines, while one sits near to God. However, human nature is undaunted by semantics, and while necessity may be the mother of invention, hunger is the mother of rationalization. So over the years and decades, the definition of fruit has expanded and now includes a wide variety of substances that are not grains or legumes, but are also far from the raw, simple, juicy nectar blossoming on trees and bushes. There is now palhara dough for pizzas, palhara batter for dipping and frying pakoras, and palhara flour from which to make fried puris, all of which counts as fasting. But this morning, about to receive my mantra, I really fasted. No fruit, no coffee, only water. However, given that I was meeting Pujya Swamiji at 7 in the morning, my abstinence was not, it must be noted, that impressive a feat. I sat on the cool marble steps and closed my eyes into the wind. It blew from the tops of the Himalayas into the valley through which Ganga flows and across the rushing waters onto my face. The sun rises out over the mountains to the east of the ashram. So in winter, it's mid-morning before any rays fall onto the river. I sat in the first light of dawn as the dew of the pine trees mingled with the wet mist rising over Ganga and anointed my closed eyes and bare cheeks. In other months, the banks are filled with families bathing, splashing themselves and each other with exuberant cries of Jaya Gange, Jaya Gange, Jaya Gange. Children run and play, followed closely by their parents' reprimands. Priests gather the devoted and offer prayers for health, happiness, and prosperity. In winter, though, Indians tend to stay away from the mountains. I looked up at the clock tower that sits on Paramarth's marble platform, lining Ganga's banks. It is a landmark that has been there since the 1950s, decades before any of the shops, restaurants, or cyber cafes mushroomed along the riverside. The clock said 6:45. All right, I hope you're listening. Here it is. The ritual to receive a mantra. I bowed down onto the chilly marble platform lining the banks of Ganga. Through my shawl I could feel the chill on my chest and belly. I stretched out my arms, palms down on the slightly damp stone, pressed my nose and forehead onto the ghat, and prayed, "Thank you, God. Thank you. Please make me worthy. Make me worthy of this place, worthy of your presence in my life. Make me divine." I raised my head and let my gaze merge with the rushing river. The wind reached into my unblinking eyes and brought forth tears. I rose, smoothed my now faintly wrinkled, slightly damp sari, and walked up the steps into the gates of the ashram. The sun appeared in the dip between mountain ranges and was beginning to fall on the benches that line the central ashram pathway. I walked past the hand pump and gave it a slight bow. I pass it several times a day, oblivious to our special history. If you remember at the beginning of our book, she walked past this when she was just staying at a nearby hotel, oblivious to the ashram. But today, I remember that it was here, just next to the hand pump, where the very ground had reached up and grabbed my feet. I smiled at the hand pump as though it were an animate, conscious co-conspirator in God's plan for me to live here. I had to find an offered flower, one that had of its own accord fallen from a vine and landed softly on the earth, still fresh and beautiful. God does not like us to pick flowers, Swamiji explained. He put them on the vines and trees for a reason. We must leave them there. I scoured the flower gardens along the central walkway until I found the perfect one. A pink blossom with large soft petals that seemed to have floated to the dirt effortlessly. Its petals still perfectly curved with no tears or frays. I bent over the top of the bench to reach into the dirt and carefully scoop it up. There wasn't a speck of mud on it, and it seemed to have fallen from the vine just moments before, fresh and moist with morning dew. I opened the screen door leading to the room where Puja Swamiji gave daily darshan and sat on the thin orange carpet. My sari and petticoat beneath it prevented me from doing Baddha-konasana or other yoga postures while I waited. So I just sat cross-legged, my back against the wall the darshan room shares with Puja Swamiji's meeting room, drawn to the place closest to his energy. A short while later, the magic middle door opened, and, rather than the young boy who usually appeared, Swamiji stood above me. I jumped up, then dove down to bow at his feet. "Come," he said, and led me through his sitting room into his personal prayer room. The room was sparse, with a low bed in the center. A long sheepskin rug ran parallel to the bed. "I usually sleep on that," he explained. "I like to be closer to the mother." A few feet from the rug was his temple. He had brought me here once before, in December 1996, on the day before I had to leave India and go back to school to seek the Mother Goddess's blessings for a safe journey and a fast return. "Why?" I asked her repeatedly. "Why bother sending me back with your blessings for a safe and quick journey when I'm already here, safely? Why not just keep me here?" Now I was back at his temple. A large ornate image of Ma sits in the center, with images of Bhagavan Krishna on both sides. In front of the temple, on the floor, is another, smaller sheepskin. Puja Swamiji sat on that. "Sit down," he gestured. There was a thin, square mat on the ground next to his sheepskin. "Sit on that," he said. I sat slowly, careful not to show my feet to Ma in the temple. I crossed my legs under my sari and folded my hands in my lap, still holding my pink flower. "Give the flower to Ma," Puja Swamiji instructed. I placed the flower on the base of the temple, next to the silver oil lamp with a thin cotton wick burning in it, casting the only light on the other room other than faint rays of sun coming through the blinds of the adjacent room. Puja Swamiji began to chant Vedic mantras. I closed my eyes and held my palms against each other in front of my heart. Oh God, how am I here? The divine craziness of it all washed over me, and I smiled into the sound of the prayers. Although I didn't know the mantras or understood the words as Swamiji chanted them softly, I could feel them resonating in my own head. They had a physical presence, not just the vibration of sound waves. Each word, each phrase appeared in my mind as he chanted, as though he were literally blowing the words through my ear into my brain. After a few minutes, he said, "Okay, now I will give you your mantra. Repeat each word after me." Om, I whispered. A mantra given by the Guru is never supposed to be shared. It is said that the spiritual power gets diluted if the formula is spoken aloud to others. The mantra's Shakti, energy, is maintained when it exists as a cord between the guru and disciple. For this reason, I won't share the actual words of the mantra he gave me, only that it, like all mantras, begin with Om. He chanted slowly, careful to enunciate so I could repeat it without a mistake. I felt each word resonate inside the cells of my brain. This was more than an experience of tiny hairs on my ear canal vibrating with the frequency of the sounds he made, bouncing off my tympanic membrane and getting relayed through the inner ear into the temporal lobes of my brain. He was not merely speaking these words, he was placing them, one after the other, into the crevices within my brain matter, weaving them into the web of neurons with their axons and dendrites, wrapping each word up in the nerve fibers along with consciousness it carried. After he placed the mantra in my brain, he reached over to the image of Gayatri Ma, touched both her feet, and then touched the top of my head. Like a soldering iron, he burned the mantra into place, the energy pouring from his hand through my skull and into the electric wiring of who I am. The stuff that held me together chemically and electrically within the cushion of my skull had been reset. It was as though all the neurons had dumped all their neurotransmitters into my synapses simultaneously. My brain felt like a swirling pool of energy. The ability to open my eyes, to move, or to speak was gone. I heard Pujya Swamiji rise and felt the slight shift in the air as his dhoti brushed over the sheepskin carpet next to me. I have no idea how long I sat in the pool of my own mind matter at his temple. The mantra seemed to be the only solid, stable presence. Slowly, my neurons managed to regather their chemicals and realign themselves for normal functioning. I was again aware of my breathing and opened my eyes. I rose from the temple and went through Swamiji's empty sitting room, through the daily darshan room, back into the ashram courtyard, and into the rising rays of the sun. My mantra chanted itself. Since that day, my mantra has been a rope that carries me into a state, an experience of presence and truth. I chanted on my prayer beads each morning and evening, and during the day whenever I have free hands. When I feel myself getting stressed or upset, I reach for it, hold on for dear life as though I were drowning, and it was my life raft. Most of the time, it runs in the background of my consciousness, an anchor connecting me to the depths of my existence. Thank you for listening. We'll pause our reading of the Hollywood to the Himalayas there for now. So, our dear author has received her mantra, one so secret she cannot share with us. But maybe, just maybe, we'll get a flavor for it at the end of today's Sangha when we chant a mantra ourselves. Next time we'll read chapter 34, Gallstones, the miracle of Ayurvedic medicine. Namaste. Alright, my attention is back on all of you. Thank you for taking part in our Shravana, our hearing, our listening. Now we can transition to manana. Thank you to those who sent a gift while we were reading. Dear Jennifer, thank you for your heart me and hand hearts. Om Namo Gangaye. Dear Divinity, thank you for the TikTok that you sent to. Om Namo Saraswatyai. Actually, it would be Om Namah Saraswatyai. Thank you, dear Renvox, for the baby penguin. Newt newt. And dear Babblefishy, thank you for the trio of roses you sent. Jaya Sitaram. And Maitreya, thank you for your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 roses. Hari Om Tat Sat. Welcome to everyone who joined while we were reading. Namaste, dear Georgia. We can open up the Sangha to discuss whatever is on our hearts and minds, and I'll reveal my question of the day in a moment too. And thank you, dear Phoenix Witch, for the trio of flowers you had sent. Om Gangarnapataye Namaha. Tattvamasi, you ask, why do I think sharing a mantra is not recommended? Do I believe that if you share it, then suddenly all of its power will leave? No. I think it's not about what happens if you share it. It's about what happens if you don't share it. Because if you don't share it, then it's like, I've got a little secret link between me and my guru, and only the two of us know of it. You know, it just feels that much more special. It's like at your birthday party, when grandma slips you that crisp Benjamin or whatever face is on your $100 bill. What is it in America? I don't know. I think it's Benjamin or Franklin or something. And she says, shh, don't tell your mom. And now there's $100 bill kept secret between you and your grandma is that much more. It's worth not $100. To you, it's priceless. You know? Like when you're at any function and you take someone behind the back and you say, I just have something that I wanted to share with you, and I didn't want to make a big scene. I brought this gift for you and I wanted to give it to you in private, you know? It's like, oh, wow, so much more meaningful. And if you don't tell anyone, then it's our little secret. That's the nature of a mantra, you know? Because it puts a smile on your face. All right, nobody looking, nobody listening. All right, time to do my mantra, my secret mantra. Go in the middle of a forest to do it, middle of the night. It's like that episode of SpongeBob when Patrick has a secret and he won't show SpongeBob, and it infuriates SpongeBob. He's wondering, what is it? Is it a picture of that embarrassing moment at the Christmas party? And every time Patrick opens the lid, he goes, oh. He gives him so much joy, and part of the joy is because he doesn't share it with SpongeBob. Only guru mantras are that way then, shares Tattvamasi. I suppose you could make other mantras like that. You could energize your own mantra, keeping it very secret, one that means something to you. I don't see, as we noted, there's many examples where that kind of energy is contained colloquially, like in SpongeBob. And I doubt that Patrick was hiding his guru mantra But whatever it is, he was able to energize it in such a way. We are the SpongeBob generation. Dear Maitreya, you ask, what mantra can free you from the sea of samsara? Only that mantra which you believe can. That could be any mantra whatsoever. It could even be cream cheese, broccoli, and mice. Cream cheese, broccoli, and mice. Cream cheese, broccoli, and mice. But are you going to believe that chanting cream cheese, broccoli, and mice is going to take you to nirvana? Probably not. If you come up with your own random set of sounds, Om blang blinga boinga blang, Om blang blinga bloinga blang, Om blang blinga bloinga blang, you know, you might believe a little more because it came from you and you came up with the sounds. If you use a mantra that you know has been chanted before by millions of people over thousands of years, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, then you're probably going to be a lot more likely to believe, put faith in that. And if you get a mantra that is given to you by a guru of an ancient tradition, passed down from generations, well, you're going to be much more likely to put faith in that mantra, I think. But it's a matter of faith, isn't it? If you don't believe that it will do anything, then it probably won't. Dear Sky Guardian will give us all the Guru mantra of his lineage. Om Namo Bhagavate Dakshina Murtaye Mahyam Medham Prajnam Prayacha Swaha. Yes, I feel comfortable sharing your lineage's mantra because I know that your Guru Swami Tarapanandaji does not keep it secret. Thank you. So it's about the belief. If you do believe in green broccoli and cheese, it will work. Yes, but developing faith in the divine saving grace of broccoli and cheese is going to be more difficult, I think. Maybe for one person who has some very deep relationship with these things because they mean something to them that no one else understands. To them, these words bring them to the ultimate peace. But I think for most people, it's very difficult to associate these words with divine revelation. Dear Maitreya, you ask, would the Gayatri mantra free you from samsara and reach moksha? If you really believe it will, absolutely. And many people do. But a mantra alone is probably not going to be sufficient to deliver one from moksha. If merely by chanting mantras we would become liberated, then that's all our gurus would instruct us to do. They wouldn't get us to do anything else. No sweeping the ashram floor, no meditating, no selfless service, no fasting, no studying scripture. Just chanting a mantra is all they would teach. To be fair, some lineages do teach that. Namely, the Hare Krishnas. They teach that according to the Upanishad, known as the Kali Santarana Upanishad, Deva Rishi Narada approaches the creator Brahma and asks, in the age of Kali, what is the means for attaining liberation? And Brahma reveals there is no other way than chanting the 16 names of Lord Narayan. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. And if you chant this something like 250 million times, I believe, then you can cross the ocean of samsara. There is no other way, Brahma says to Devarishi Narada in the Kali Santarana Upanishad. However, other Upanishads also say there is no other way, and that way seems to be very different from chanting 16 names of Narayana. Yet it's good enough for the Hare Krishnas, and that is an authentic teaching from an Upanishad. Still, 250 million repetitions, light work. Yes, if you want to do some good math, if you do 16 rounds a day, which is the recommended for all Hare Krishna monks, then it'll take you not that many years, but still on the matter of years. A round is 108, so 16 rounds of 108. It'll take you several years. If you do 4 rounds a day, then it'll take you 50 years or something like that. If you do 32 rounds a day, it'll take you just a couple years. But to do 16 rounds takes like 2 hours, and that's chanting fast. Yeah, that's to attain the siddhi of the Maha Mantra. Lewis, you ask, where can you find this chant or mantra? As I said, it's first given in the Kali Santarana Upanishad, an ancient scripture. But if you want a Wikipedia article, it's called the Maha Mantra, Mahamantra. It's known as the Maha Mantra. Also colloquially known as the Hare Krishna mantra. It's the mantra that the Hare Krishnas chant. Dear Maitreya, you ask, so what is the Arhat secret to attaining oneness with the universe? Well, that's a term that mostly comes from Buddhism, I believe. And there's a great debate whether that can happen during one's life or at the end of it, whether nirvana can actually take place, the ultimate nirvana, during one's life or only at death. But regardless of the timeline of nirvana, I imagine it surmounts to a lot of letting go of one's notion of limited self and dissolving into the universe, continually shaving off our limited notion of self until what remains is just what appears before us. And there becomes no distinction between subject and object, just a happening. There is a teaching in Buddhism called Dzogchen, and it means the great perfection. It's said to be such a high level of Buddhism that most people don't even know that it exists, because only those that are ready for Dzogchen Buddhism will discover Dzogchen Buddhism. Until then, not even a Buddhist monk may even hear the word Dzogchen. And I can tell you the entirety of Dzogchen Buddhism in 3 words. View, meditation, action. That is the final teaching of Buddhism. Just those 3 words, according to Dzogchen. View, meditation, action. Once you get to the right level, those 3 words are all you need. Dear Gregor G, you ask, can we relate Kriya Yoga to Dzogchen? Maybe, but I would say that there's a lot more than 3 words in Kriya Yoga. Though Kriya Yoga is a very refined yoga, coming from ascended masters. They are distinct, but there's certainly many parallels we could find, I'm sure. I like your connection of 3 words. Shares Tattvamasi, Darshana, Manana, Nididhyasana. Those are good words too. Yes. Yes. Dear Adrian, you ask, do I know how to activate the third eye chakra? If you sit with your back straight, notice that your mind naturally settles in a different way depending on the angle of your head relative to the horizon. If you keep your head low, it's very humbling. It indicates a kind of surrender. If you keep your head level, it indicates a kind of stability, neutrality. And if you keep your head tilted up, you'll notice your mind naturally fixates on the point between the 2 eyebrows, known as the Ajna chakra, or the third eye center. Ajna is a word related to the English word know. You might know that in front of the word know is the letter K. And the letter K is not pronounced now, is it? You don't say, I can know something. I have knowledge. But let me tell you that back in the day it was pronounced. And you would say, know. As would the Greeks, from where we get the English word knowledge, they had the word gnosis. Or as they pronounce with a G in front, gnosis. And the Greeks got that from the ancient Indians, from the word jnana. Or as they pronounce it with a J in front, jnana. And from that we also get the name for the third eye, ajna, just by prefixing the letter A in front. Ajna. It means knowledge. It's the chakra of knowledge. When we sit with our back straight and we tilt our chin up, naturally our mind fixates on this point, which represents a kind of knowing. Because to see is to really know. You ask, how do you know? How do you know that your sister stole your charger? You say, because I saw it. You know, did it take any theoretical reasoning? Did you have to crack open the textbook on sibling relationships and sharing of resources and come to the conclusion? No. You know that your sister stole your charger because you saw it. But we don't just see with our 2 eyes. We also see with an inner kind of eye. An eye symbolically at the center of our head, whose rays shine out between. There is a mantra said to open this place for you. And you know this mantra. It is Om. Simply sitting like that, head tilted up, awareness focused on the Ajna chakra. That is one method. Thank you, dear Zadina Choren, for your quintet of finger hearts. Here's one for you. Om Namah Shivaya. Dear Benjable, you ask, is this impossible to achieve if you have back problems? You have kyphosis or kyphosis, I'm not sure how to pronounce this, and you get discouraged when gurus put so much emphasis on needing to have good posture. If it's something that you cannot control, then this is something you cannot control. And no, the universe is not only going to let people with straight backs open their chakras or attain enlightenment. That would be ridiculous. It is, of course, best if you can. And that's not to say that it's not going to work if you can't. But as best as you can to alleviate tension from your abdomen, because that's part of what it means to have a straight back, is that you're not hunched forward, and where you're compressing all of your organs that exist in such a tight space, that you sit in such a way that your energies can align. What that looks like for you might be different than other people, so don't worry about trying to match to a T. Just imagine a rope through each vertebrae, pulling it up. And naturally for you, what it looks like when there is just gravity pulling down, it might be in a different shape, but that's fine. Our spines do have a natural curvature, and we have to work with that, not against that. Don't worry. But it does take time to strengthen the back muscles too. Of course, for a medical diagnosis, it's going to be different no matter what. But still, we can do certain asanas that help strengthen our posture in other ways. And if you need a pillow, if you need to support yourself in some way, no problem at all. The biggest thing is just to keep your head upright. If your head can be self-supporting, that is fine. It's a lot harder to meditate when it's physically painful, absolutely. Yes. The point is not to be in pain. Don't worry. Dear Usha, you share that disabled or old people may practice asanas mentally, and it has the same effect. I love that. I never even thought about that before. Just imagine yourself sitting upright. That's great. I like that. I know that comes from your guru. Thank you for sharing that. Dear Adrian, you ask, is this achievable in your sleep? What's that? Standing upright? Meditating? I hope you don't fall asleep doing that. That's why it's good to keep your head unsupported. But if we're still talking about the third eye, opening your third eye, well, if you're looking for an experience, like suddenly you feel this rush of energy and it opens, that may or may not happen. But generally, opening the third eye is more about a process than some experience that you can have. It's a continual process of seeing with an eye of unity, of inclusivity, rather than some change in your well, see, whatever I say, it's going to sound like a metaphor, but I'm not trying to make it a metaphor, or am I? Everything I say is a metaphor. How shall I say this? That the change in perception is more of an outward process than an inward. It's not that we receive anything different, it's that what we give changes. It's how we look at the world changes rather than the world changing back for us. And that includes the kind of sensual experiences we get from it. Basically, what it means to see with your third eye is that everything you look at is divine. That you don't see man, you don't see woman, you don't see child, you don't see elderly, you just see God in the form of man, in the form of woman, in the form of child, in the form of elderly. And there becomes no difference in their essence. Everything you look at becomes divine. And maybe this means that the way in which things occur to you change at a very real level of experience where, maybe colors are more intense, maybe light is shining through everything, maybe you see the form of the divine in everything. And that may or may not happen. But at the very least, it means that wherever you see, wherever your gaze goes, there's an inner knowingness that there's nothing but the divine in existence. And so our mind is fixated on that always, on the unity, the unifying source amidst our diversity. Dear Mirna, welcome. You share you concentrate on the third eye to relieve physical pain at the dentist or when having a tattoo. Well, I'm happy that works for you. That sounds nice. Thank you for sharing that possibility for us. Namaste, dear Massey. Catherine, you ask, what helps with feeling lonely? Be alone, but don't feel lonely. Recognize that difference. Lonely means you're missing something. Being alone means you have everything by yourself. Lonely means that you need someone else there to validate you. Being alone means that you're self-validating. Take solitude in that spaciousness. Not having to bother with the drama of other people. Oh, how liberating it is to be alone, but how miserable it is to be lonely. Be alone, but not lonely. When you're truly alone, you can never feel lonely, because you have everything here. The whole universe is here. Just without the form of other people, just one person. In your space of solidarity, you represent enough humanity. No need for another at that time. And thank you, dear Strawberry Star Bunny, for the rose that you sent. Om Namo Buddhaya. Habibi, shares Mirna. I still have yet to know what that means. I've been too shy to ask until now. What does Habibi mean? I need to know this finally, once and for all. I know it's very sweet sounding, and I like the name Habibi. I just don't know what it means. Dear Karen, you ask, have I found the divine? What I have found is only one part of something that I'm on an endless journey of discovering more of. Thank you, dear Sammy Heals Naturally, for the pair of tiny tinies. Yippee! Dear Angel, you shared the only time you've ever felt truly lonely, you weren't even alone. That's a great observation, dear angel. How true. We can be surrounded by people, but still feel lonely when there's a lack of connection. And vice versa. We can be surrounded by nobody, but if a connection is there, you don't feel lonely. Of course, I'd check out the dear Hanuman Chalisa Maitreya. It's on my list. There are other things on that list, however. Right now I'm reading the Kamika Agama. It's like sweetheart, shares he, Habibi. Mirna, you share it's my dear love. Oh, I love that. Habibi. Billy, you asked, did I do the question of the day yet? Thank you for reminding me. No, my question of the day today is, do you have a favorite mantra or prayer? And if so, would you like to share it? Doesn't have to be the favorite, but just a favorite of yours. Thank you, dear Robert. Welcome, dear Donsuela. That's Kamika Agama, K-M-I-K-A, K-A-M-I-K-A, Kamika Agama, A-G-A-M-A. I've been learning about a whole class of spiritual scriptures that I was ignorant of called the Agamas. I had been under the impression that Hinduism stems from the Vedas, but that's only half true. There's a whole other equally ancient set of scriptures called the Agamas. See what happened? If we go back about 5,000 years, is that India was not completely populated. It had a native population, indigenous population, called the Dravidian people, and they lived in the south. And then from the north, from the Himalayas, came the conflicts of the steppe population, the steppe people who were of the Indo-European. They came through the Himalayas and brought with them the Vedas. And the Dravidian people already had their Agamas. And so the Vedic Aryans and the Agamic Dravidians, they at some point met in around central India and perhaps created the Indus Valley civilization. And it was this fusion of the Vedic and Agamic heritage that created what we know today as the Hindu diaspora, or the Sanatana Dharma. And there's a beautiful quote that summarizes the two. The Vedas are the path, and the Agamas are the horses. That the Vedas are the scriptures that lay out the map to reach the divine, and the Agamas are the vehicles that take you there. The Agamas tell you exactly how to realize the Vedic truths. I think that's very beautiful that there are these two peoples, and they each had a different piece of the puzzle, and by grace, it seems, they met and happened to be in the middle of the Indian subcontinent. And it's like, my goodness, you have the missing piece of my puzzle, I have the missing piece of yours. Together, let us reach the ultimate. Is the Shiva Stuti on that list? Maybe. I know that Śiva is an Agamic deity, but was later fused with Vedic deities. And I would love to be there for the conversation between these two newly meeting populations. One person's describing this god known as Rudra, and while the other person is listening, they're thinking, my goodness, that sounds exactly like our god Śiva. Wow, we've been worshipping the same god under different names. I think my Śiva is your Rudra. I think your Rudra is my Śiva. And so, Śiva and Rudra became one. Same thing happened with a lot of other deities. Very fascinating. Dear Gregor G, you asked, did the Dravidians supposedly come from somewhere else or always India? I think all of humanity can trace itself back to about the cone of the Horn of Africa. At least the species of humans that ultimately survived, because there were many species of humans, such as Neanderthals and the newly discovered Denisovans. But there was interspecies breeding, and ultimately that created the Homo sapiens, which we are today, and they survived by staying around the Horn of Africa, and eventually migrated. And one of the earliest migrations was to South India, where they stayed there for a long time. So I think you'd have to trace it back from South India to Africa. And actually the genetics makeup of the Dravidians are very similar to Africans. You'll notice South Indians look a little African. It's no coincidence. Ethiopia, yeah, around there. Thank you, dear Mirna. Dear Robert, you ask, wasn't there just another old language just discovered older than Sanskrit? I don't know. I do know that Vedic Sanskrit is one of the oldest languages we know of. There have been hypothetical reconstructions that go back further, such as Proto-Indo-European, the Proto-languages. There's also a Proto-Dravidian, and there's a Proto-African. I think the Proto-African is probably the oldest. Some people hypothesize a proto-world, as if all of language came from just one source, but that would have to be like tens of thousands of years ago, and we just can't go back that far with the current tools of linguistics, archaeology. It's hard when we only started writing stuff down maybe 5,000 years ago. We didn't, or the things that we did write down that long ago hasn't survived. So we have to use way more advanced techniques to go back further than that. Anthropology. Yes, thank you, dear Mirna. Thank you, dear Eridana, for the quartet of roses that you sent. Aridana. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Robert shares, you don't know what to believe anymore. I don't either, but that's okay, because we don't have to believe in really anything other than some real simple virtues like kindness, compassion, love, service. You know, that's at the heart of the Venn diagram. So many different things to believe in, but what's the same? If there was some unified essence of all the philosophies, ideologies, belief systems, faiths, religions, traditions, etc., you know, practice that, and you're going to be all right. All right. I realized that we had gone on that chain of conversation before I read any of the answers to our question of the day. I apologize for that. Dear Billy, you had written, "Thank you for keeping me and my loved ones safe and healthy." That is a wonderful answer. Thank you. Dear Aridana, you ask what my thoughts are on ancient Sumerian history. I'm generally unfamiliar, other than we can thank the ancient Sumerians for giving us a very old epic, the Epic of Gilgamesh. And I think there's another one, a complementary epic to the Epic of Gilgamesh. But I know very little about their culture. There's Adin Nacharen. A favorite prayer of yours is, may everything go just as it needs to go, without expectation, without judgment. Dear Hihi, you share that you read that some people just can't learn new languages, and you think you're one of those. No, never identify with a limitation. So if you tell yourself, I'm one of those people that can't do something, then of course you're going to be one of those people that can't do something. But everyone who ever succeeded at something were the ones who refused to believe that they were limited in that way. And you have to believe so in order to achieve it. It gets harder with age, absolutely. But it gets easier with faith and surrender. Dear Latino Menace, you had asked, was the Buddha from a Hinduism era? It's a good question. Buddhism arose around 500 BC, and he was born into a Hindu culture. But 2,500 years ago, Hindu culture was very different. And around then, it would probably be more accurate to just call it Vedic culture, especially in the north, where Vedic Hinduism was more dominant. The Buddha famously rejected that culture because it was very ritual focused, and he didn't believe that you should have to perform rituals to achieve enlightenment, which was what he was after. But why do you need all these intricate mantras and positions of your body and things to do one after the other with fire and water and blah 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 blah? If the problem is just in our minds, then we can use simple logic and psychology to free ourselves of the attachments of the mind. And so the Buddha rejected the Vedas, so they say, but actually he didn't. He rejected the karma kanda of the Vedas, the portion of the Vedas dealing with a ritual, with karmas, with actions to do. But he used lots of the philosophy from the jnana kanda portion of the Vedas, which is the portion on knowledge and wisdom. He rejected many parts of that too, like the theism of it. But when it comes to the philosophy that was without any ritual and without any theism, he was able to take that and distill that into its essence and use that as the basis for a new religion called Buddhism. But Buddhism and Hinduism, they're considered brothers, sisters. And the Dalai Lama himself said that. He said on all the fundamental ideas like karma, reincarnation, meditation, liberation, non-violence, all of these things you will find both in Buddhism and Hinduism. As such, they're classified as a larger group of religions that are related, called the dharmic religions. since they all place emphasis on dharma, which is difficult to translate, but means something like a living teaching or a path of righteousness, or one's dutiful laws, or truths to practice. Dear Phoenix Wish, which you share breath in reference to our question of the day, it is your anchor to yourself and all around you. I love that. Reminds me of a quote from Yogi Raj Satgurunath Siddhanath, who said that humanity is our uniting religion, consciousness our uniting divinity, pardon me, and breath is our uniting prayer. Yeah, that's right, Bubbles. Quick, just read the Ramayana straight through. Oh yeah. Just read something like 50,000 verses straight through. You know, if you do the math, how many seconds are there in a day? 60 seconds in a minute, so 3,600 seconds in an hour. And 24 hours in a day, 24 times 36 is what? Big number. I don't know. If you follow this calculation, I think even if you chanted one verse a second, maybe it would take 24 hours. So 86,400 seconds in a day, shares Tattvamasi. In an epic of about that many verses, then it would take all day without sleep. You're doing one verse per second. You'd be talking like with no taking any breaths, no going to the bathroom. Yeah. You love silly sounds, Angel. That makes two of us. Mm-hmm. Dear Gillian, you share that you feel it's hard to follow those mantras when you're feeling so bad. Yeah, I know what you mean. When you feel so down, like nothing helps. But mantras are exactly for that level of despair or depression or anxiety, because sometimes all you can do is chant. And that's a funny revelation that I had when I was having a really, really intense anxiety attack that wouldn't leave me for days, you know? I was hunched over the sink throwing up because, you know, my body just felt like it was dying. What more could I do if everything made me nauseous? All I could really do was chant. And so in my surrender, I started chanting. And I doubt it's something that a doctor or a psychologist or a therapist would recommend. And that's probably why we don't realize its value. But in that pit of despair, you know, a little bit of puke still on my face probably, wearing, I don't know what I was wearing, just utterly defeated, feeling like a useless human being. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Wiping the vomit off my cheek, getting off the floor, putting some clothes on, drinking a sip of water, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. And then I'd start dancing, even though I didn't feel like it. And I would dance, and I would chant, and I would do my mantra. And then I felt completely embarrassed that this whole time I could be doing something like that. And that's what made me feel better. You know? Not my anti-anxiety medication, not the Ativan, not the anti-nausea pills, not the throwing up, not the therapy, not the, it was being absolutely defeated in chanting some ancient words that I barely knew the meaning of. How ridiculous, right? How ridiculous. But hey, it worked. And I finally got to sleep that night for the first time in days. Got some rest. Next morning, feeling a little better. Got some food in my tummy. Started doing some chores because I finally had the energy. Went for a walk. My appetite started to exist for the first time. And I decided to stop vaping. Just quit like that. I gave my vape to my father. I said, you hold on to this. And I never asked for it back. And I started using my time a lot more wisely. Instead of watching videos endlessly on, I don't know, random drama, I thought, you know what, I'm just going to watch some videos on something that means something to me now. I'm gonna watch some videos on chanting. I'm gonna learn how to chant even better, and the meaning of it, and the philosophy behind it, and the scriptures from I'm gonna do everything I can to continue to empower the practice of chanting mantras. And slowly, I wasn't like overnight, but over weeks, I started to get healthy again, mentally and physically. So, when it's hard to chant a mantra, that's probably the best time to do it. Because sometimes there's nothing else we can do that helps. Dear Devi, you like the Nirvana Shatakam from the Sounds of Isha. That is a great channel for music. And thank you, dear Maitreya, for the rose that you sent. Om Namo Shakti Shivaya. Namah Shakti Shivaya. We all find our way through. Indeed, dear angel. Dear Maitreya, you share that Ram and Krishna are very popular. Are there mantras for other avatars? Absolutely. We could make them right now. Let's see. Buddha is considered another avatar in the Dashavatar. There's Namo Buddhaya. Om Namo Buddhaya. Basically, you can turn any name into a mantra. The simple formula, the simplest of all formulas. Okay, never mind. I thought of something even simpler. Just saying their name is a mantra. Like the Hare Krishna Hare Rama mantra. It's literally just their name. But if you wanted to make it more like a traditional mantra, you add the word Namaha. And that ending at the end, that H that you find at the end of Namaha, it's a visarga, an expulsion of breath, and there's grammatical rules for what sound it makes, depending on the next sound that follows. For example, if the next sound that follows is a voiced consonant, then that namaha becomes namo. So instead of Om Namaha Buddhaya, you'd say Om Namo Buddhaya. If the next sound is a sibilant, then that visarga just becomes an elision of that sibilant. So instead of Om Namaha Shivaya, it's Om Namah Shivaya. But if you don't want to worry about that, just place it at the end, and it's still Namaha. So you can say Om Krishnaya Namaha, Om Ramaya Namaha, Om Balaramaya Namaha, Om Matsyaya Namaha, Om I forget the names of the other avatars of Sri Krishna. There's Kalki Ji. Om Now, how do you turn an E stem, Kalki, into the dative form? Let me think. I can't remember. Yeah, you'd have to figure out how to turn that into the dative form, which is that Aya you hear at the end of many names. Now my phone is vibrating. I have to turn that alarm off. Apologies. Thank you for your patience. Yes, so there's Vamana. Om Vamanaya Namaha. Keya. That's right. I think you can do that for you can do that for the feminine E stems, like Kali becomes Kalikeya. Kalike. Not sure how it works if it's masculine. Om Kalkikeya Namaha. Something like that anyway. You just have to consult a table, look at the final sound of the name, and if it's masculine or feminine, and then it tells you how to convert it into the dative form, and there you've created a mantra. Now, do I think Ram was actually Ram's name, just as Kalki? You don't think that's his birth name, but a dharmic prophecy name. Very interesting question. I'm not sure. Yes, maybe that's the name given by the guru, you know? Maybe the next avatar, Kalki, was not going to be born Kalki, but is given that name at some point. Yeah. I know that Rama's full name is actually Ramachandra. Ramachandra. Chandra meaning moon. Ramachandra. Some of the deities actually have full names, but we often don't know their full name. We just shorten them. Ramachandra becomes Rama. Like Shyam Sundar becomes Shyam as well. In fact, I think even Krishna's full name is also Krishna Chandra. And Ram is a chakra, right? Asks Gregarji. Ram is indeed the mantra for Agni, the element of fire, which is represented in the solar plexus chakra. There's the Muladhara, Svadhisthana, and Manipura. The bija of the Manipura, the navel center, is indeed Ram. Good night, dear Karen. Thank you for being here. No, last names are relatively new advent, aren't they, dear Tatvamasi? Many of the last names you'll notice, just come from either the place of origin, the occupation of their family, or the name of someone in their family, like son of John, Johnson, or of the family of bakers, Mr. Baker. And they called him Jesus of Nazareth. Of course, Christ is a title, the Anointed One. And then if you go to Mexico, and you take the name of all your ancestry, there's a certain rhythm of giving your full name. I like your mantra, dear Devi. Govinda Radhe Radhe Sham Gopala Radhe Radhe Sita Ram. You know, I was learning about where the word mantra comes from. It's said in the Kamika Agama that it comes from the word manana, as well as dhrana. And when manana and dhrana come together, it becomes mantra. Manana is something that we're doing right now in our Sangha, which is a kind of conscious mental reflection, which is absolutely a component of mantra. And the dhrana, well, what does that mean? I don't remember. I was falling asleep reading that part. Dhrana means protection. That's right. Protection, defense, shelter, salvation. So in the essence of that comes together with manana. When we take shelter, we take protection, refuge in our manana, in our mental reflection, then this is the essence of a mantra. Dear Anapouls, you share your favorite. I'm not sure how to pronounce this, as it looks like it comes from a Buddhist tradition. Ramadasa sa se soham, something like that. Dear Nelly Hugh, you ask, what does being alive mean? Being alive means you're not dead. What does being dead mean? Not much. Can't do much. Just lay there, motionless, still, so quiet, not interested in anything. Being alive means that you have the ability to act, to engage, to do, to be a part of a performance, to sing, to love, to cry, to laugh, to build, to maintain, and to destroy. Being alive means the energies are moving. And it's up to you what you want to do with them. Do you want to create a work of art? Do you want to maintain something precious? Dedicate your life to the preservation of something? Or dismantle something that no longer is serving this world? Being alive means to experience yourself. Sharastatvam asi. And dear Mirna, you wonder, what do I know of the Anunnaki of Nibiru? I know nothing at all, really. If you would love to enlighten me on them, I'd be happy to learn. Goodbye, dear Maitreya. Om Tat Sat. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. And Tra of mantra is a tool, asks Tatvamasi. Quite possibly. I'm not sure myself. From Wisdom Lib, it shares that Tra means to preserve. To protect. That seems to be the essence of all these translations. To protect, shelter, to rescue from. But I see how a tool could be involved in that. As an instrument of protection. A mantra certainly is. Tantra, mantra, yantra. And dear Usha, you share that being alive is sometimes just to breathe and let life unfold. I love that. Yes. All right. Dear Heartmug, you apologize as you're genuinely getting freaked out by people talking about evil aliens coming here. Well, I think we've got them beat, don't we? You know? I don't care how evil aliens think they are. They come to Earth. We'll show them who the real evil ones are. My goodness, just look at what we do to each other. Right? They'll see us and go, oh my, no, you guys clearly have enough of that going on. I'm gonna go somewhere else, you know? I'm using the word evil pretty lightly here, but we have a hard enough time managing ourselves. If we were any more evil, do you think it would be possible for us to leave the ground in spaceships and do any sort of coordinated space exploration? You know? If there are aliens out there more evil than us, they're not getting off the ground. I'm telling you that much. Because it requires some amount of peace to be able to even get off the ground. That is to say, if they don't kill each other before that point. And if they do get off the ground, if they're really that evil, then they'll kill each other before they get here, you know? If we were evil than we were, and we created spaceships and went to other planets, we'd be ripping each other's throats out before we even reach those planets, you know? Because that's what evil does. Evil takes two people and brings them apart, separates them. It creates disdain, it creates distrust. No evil force is going far in this universe, and because it'll blow itself up before it is able to spread that far. If some civilization has the technology to explore the stars, they must also have reached a level of maturity to be able to coordinate to that extent. And coordination requires a lot of trust. There can be no coordination without trust, no organization. Great efforts must be built on trust and understanding. So the feat of another civilization somewhere in their universe getting here, they must be more advanced technologically and emotionally, because there's no way you can explore this galaxy without reaching that level of emotional maturity. Could you imagine having astronauts who aren't emotional mature, but somehow able to be a part of the process to create these big, massive achievements of technology? That is just an impossibility. So, worry not. Loving guidance shares another perspective that spirit and protectors are strong. No need to worry. You're very welcome. And, we feel like for the sense of protection that we need to listen to the media and all of its tragic stories. You don't have to. And if something really dangerous is coming, your neighbor will let you know. If there's a hurricane, if there's an alien invasion, you'll see that with your own eyes. You don't have to wait for the internet to tell you. You don't have to wait for the news station to freak you out in order to do that. Your community will already be aware. If there's a direct threat to your community, that's something you have to deal with. And if there is a conflict going on the other side of the world, then we can be aware of the movements that are being done to bring more love and justice and peace there. Let us be aware not of the possible limitations, but the possible opportunities there are. There are negative things happening all around us, but if we constantly listen to the negative stories, then we're going to be too bummed out to do anything about the positive things that we have at our disposal too. And life is built not on negativity, but on what is possible, what's made achievable through optimism, through believing in yourself and those around you. So please, if you want to really find peace in life, some amount of boundaries should be set between negative sources of information. You don't have to be ignorant of the suffering, but bring your attention to the possibilities surrounding that suffering. There are crises happening all over the world, but let's be aware of what can be done about it. There's no point being aware of what can't be done about it if nothing can be done. Let us be aware of what you can do. And sometimes all you can do is continue to be the best version of you, as you are a productive member of society, just by being a role model full of kindness and compassion. And that's ultimately what a lot of the world needs right now, is someone to look up to in that sense, to say that, hey, it's possible to just live without all this antagonism for other people, without all this fear, We can live a pretty good life just by being honest and kind, trustworthy, compassionate, etc. And if everyone acted like that, there would be no wars, there would be no conflicts, there would be no fear. Thank you, dear Strawberry Star Bunny, for the baby ghost that you sent. Om Sum Suryaya Namaha. Dear Greg RG, you share, we can realize love is the answer, and just try to show that to people. That has to. I'm happy to hear that. Strange Girl Bone Collector. Mariham, you apologize for being late. You are just on time. You are exactly on time for the moment that Mariham was meant to arrive, so fret not. Dear Mark, you ask, where did I study or learn all of this? While anxious, I suppose. You know, it takes a really bad day to get you to ask questions about this kind of thing naturally, doesn't it? You know? It took some really bad days for me to just kind of ask myself, how do I want to live? Because clearly the way I'm living right now leads to some pretty bad days. So, what can I realistically expect of myself to have some pretty good days? And consistent good days too, you know? I don't want to always feel like this, you know? In that moment I was feeling anxious. How can I inquire into the meaning of my life to bring out something that is ready for anything? Because I recognize that I'm going to get heartbroken, I am going to be disappointed, I'm going to get hurt, I'm going to get sick, I'm going to lose many things. What kind of attitude is appropriate for the reality of that? Because when you're anxious for days at a time, at some point you have to think about these things, because there's no way out but up. And so in those moments I didn't need a philosophy class to teach me that if I just tried to focus on something I'm grateful for, then that makes this moment a little more bearable. I didn't need any book to tell me that if I try to get some healthy relationships in my life, then I will feel much more connected to the world around me. You know, I didn't need a podcast to reveal to me that if I just set my intentions on being kinder today than I was yesterday, then I can go to sleep that night feeling fulfilled, right? And I think that's so wonderful about these things, is that no one has to tell you to believe in them, because you discover the value in them yourself. If I think about everything that can possibly be achieved, realistically, all of those great achievements, they're built on very simple principles of living, like the ones I talked about. You know, you don't have to create a complex philosophy for yourself. Just try to think good thoughts, process the ones that are not, attend with curiosity to the experiences, pursue the possibilities, forgive the limitations, and continue to remind yourself of these things, because it is pretty easy to forget. As funny as that is. All of that can be found anywhere. It's already there in some sense. You already know this. I guess sometimes what is required is just a motivation to really put some faith into that. And believe me when I say that life will give you the motivation. It's just up to you to apply it. Hare Krishna, dear I am. Life is hard, loving is easy. I like that, dear Strawberry Star Bunny. Just keep swimming. Just keep swimming. Says Dory. Says Greg RG. Alright, I think it's been a wonderful manana. A wonderful reflection tonight. So thank you. I would like to pause our inquiry into anything too deep as we transition to our final third of our Sangha, just dedicated to bringing this space to rest. As we transition, just before we transition, if anyone wants to volunteer to share an insight that they've had today, or that has been really resonating with them today, please feel free to volunteer to be a guest. There's a little button somewhere down on your screen you can tap on. Maybe it looks like 2 people. It's the multi-guest request feature. And I would be happy to give you a moment to express an insight of any kind. And if you're too shy, I understand. So please do not feel like it is necessary at all. If no one wants to, that's totally okay. I thought I'd just offer before we transition to our Nididhyasana. Good reminder to hydrate in the meanwhile too. And if you've been in this live for a while, maybe stretch, get a snack, eat something, or wait until we're done our meditation that will start in some minutes now. Dear I am, you share you've been feeling so down, even though you're aware that it's your inside thoughts that make you feel. I'm sorry to hear that you've been feeling so down. Sometimes you gotta get really down to be able to look up. You know? If you climb on top of a mountain and you look up, not much to see. But if you're all the way at the bottom of the mountain, down there, now there's so much to see above. But you keep on chanting, keep on flowing, and this too shall pass. Dear Lala Michelle, you share that you're struggling. You are struggling, or there is challenge occurring to you and an opportunity for more trust in yourself, more faith in yourself. To get to Wonderland, Alice has to fall. That inspires you a lot, shares Miss Bliss. I love that. You feel your heart just broke, dear Lala Michelle. And you hope and pray. Sometimes that's all we can do. And we can hope and pray for the acceptance of the things that we cannot change, and the courage to change the things that we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Dear Phoenix Witch, you share that your revelation or revaluation is that everything is everything and everything is me. So I thank you and myself. I love that. Dear Lala, you share you feel it's being thrown in your face constantly. But you are an infinite ocean. Someone can throw a pound of trash in you. Makes no difference to you. Someone can throw a whole garbage truck of trash into you. Now, I'm not saying you should do this because we don't have an infinite ocean. But if we did have an infinite ocean, then it doesn't matter how much stuff that you throw in it, because there is infinitely more of you which is not polluted than there is that is. Than there is that is. It's a funny thing to say. When do you walk away? If someone throws something in your face, you walk away as soon as they do that. Yeah. Your help can only be given to those that accept it. To those that are not accepting it, you're not of any help. Just taking the hits. In fact, what you're really doing is just saying that you're allowing this person to act like that. No matter how peaceful you are within, it's not a good idea to take hits from anyone, because then you're validating that behavior. The best thing you can do for someone who is not treating you well is to leave them, because then you're telling them that this is not something that I approve of. And in my silence and my space that I give you, think about what you're doing, reevaluate it. I had previously offered to be able to work through that with you, but that requires that you treat me with a certain level of kindness too. And that is offered for you when you are ready. Clearly, you are not ready. This is what you think, and you give them the space. You cannot reason with those who are unreasonable. You cannot have patience for those who are impatient. You cannot have tolerance for those who are intolerant. And that's what hurts so bad. I understand. But it only hurts to the extent that we expect them to be any different at this moment. That we have a version for themselves in mind that we know is possible for them if they would just act on it, right? But then at that point, we're not actually present with them anymore. We're only present with the idea we have for them. So the challenge is not to manifest that for them, but to give them the space to discover that in their own time, because only them can make that happen. We have to forgive them for not being at the level that we see possible for them. You're absolutely allowed to see the potential in another, But if you get attached to that potential, then you're the one that ends up having to bear the weight of it, which is just impossible when it's their journey. We can be a supporter, but they have to be their own supporter too. Thank you, dear Maya, for the trio of roses that you had sent earlier. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. You share that you have already forgiven, but you do harbor the pain. Sounds like there's still room for more forgiveness, as forgiveness frees you of that very pain which you harbor. Forgiveness means that you relieve yourself from the duty of something that's not yours. Forgiveness means that what they're going through is their journey. And if they don't let us in on their journey, then that's not our pain to bear. It's not yours. It's not you. You are not that pain. You have empathized with that pain. And that's a beautiful thing, your empathy. But if that pain limits you too, then it's time to give it up. We can hold space for others' pain, but if we don't hold space for our own peace too, then we drown in that pain and forget our own peace, and then we'll really be of no help. We can be of help only when two things happen. When we hold space for pain and hold space for peace. We hold space for the pain to connect with it, and hold space for the peace to purify it. But if they are giving us more pain than we have peace, then we've bitten off more than we can chew. And that's okay. Baby steps. And I wish you the blessings of empowering yourself to make the changes in your life that need to happen. And that can be the most powerful thing that really can be done. And that requires deep, deep compassion and trust that even if in the short term things appear to get worse momentarily, that is only just the rebound from the space that is being created for much, much more peace to arise in the long term. Namaste. Now let us transition to our Nididhyasana. This section of our life is dedicated to meditation. So if you're interested in consolidating everything that we've come to process in our Sangha so far, this is the time to do so. I have a very special meditation planned tonight. This meditation is dedicated to the Ganga, the river in which our author of the book that we were reading dipped into and had her spiritual awakening, where she discovered that there was a kind of oneness of herself with the Divine Mother and with the whole of the universe. We had read in the chapter today about her reception of a Guru Mantra. A Guru Mantra is very special and is given under very specific circumstances to the disciple. It is secret and shan't be revealed to anyone. But I thought that we would pretend today like we had an insight into what her secret Guru Mantra was, to feel like we were part of the journey together. But before we embark on that, I did see there was a topic I'd like to explore. Dear Sauron, you are Sikhi, my friend, putting faith in the first Guru, Guru Nanak. The first Guru, who then gave instruction to Guru Angad, the second Sikh Guru, who then gave initiation to the third Guru, Guru Amar Das, who then gave Diksha to the fourth Guru, Guru Ram Das. These are great Gurus, and many more came after them to consolidate into the Guru Granth Sahib, and what we know as today as the fourth dharmic religion of India, called Sikhi or Sikhism. But you know what Guru Nanak never taught was that Sikhi was the only truth. That if you listen to the hymns of the Guru Granth Sahib, of the Adi Granth, of the devotional poetry immortalized in that religion, you find just another story. That one truth, Ik Onkar. Do you know what this means? Ik Onkar. It means one truth. And when we hear the word one truth, Ik Onkar, what this means is that wherever you go, you shall find the same truth. Whether you are a bhakta of Hinduism, whether you are a devotee of Allah, whether you are a Christian, whether you are Jain, whether you are a Jew, that you are always surrounded by Ik Onkar. And the name of the Lord is found everywhere. Satnam Shri Vaheguru. Satnam Shri Vaheguru. Satnam Shri Vaheguru. Satnam Shri Vaheguru. I pray that Guru Nanak enlighten all those who use his name in vain and do not realize that he believed in the unity of all religions. I pray that the Father forgive all Christians that use his name in vain, that forget that Jesus taught peace and unity amongst our neighbors. Forgive them, Father, For they know not what they do. They only know the truth that they have been taught, but have not discovered the unity of that truth within everything in this universe, including all paths and all traditions. I pray that Allah and His Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, reveals to everyone that that one truth that we call as Allah, that is omnipresent, is found everywhere, equally as the soul of souls within all beings, regardless of if they call themselves of one religion or another. I pray that the Buddha teach compassion to those who may not realize that he was speaking for a truth not held just by Buddhists, but by everyone around the world. I pray that one day you too will wake up and discover that there is only one religion, there is only one God, there is only one prayer. That's the religion of our humanity, the God of our inner light of consciousness, and the prayer of our breath. And when one wakes up to that, you will truly be free. You know when you are on the right path, not when someone has to tell you that you are, but when you feel within your own spirit that you are getting higher and higher, that you are becoming more peaceful, more loving, more compassionate, when you are letting go of judgment on another's ways and seeing it as a reflection of your own. How do you know when you are getting closer to truth? You know this when you find truth everywhere around you. And I will always allow those to speak who speak on behalf of unity and peace. And I will always set boundaries with those who only speak for exclusion and try to limit another's perspective. Because for us to live in truth means to find that perspective which is universal. And that can only happen when we discover the truth in every perspective. It is not that one path leads to the ultimate. It's that all paths do, but are equipped differently for each person. And that one truth reveals itself in different ways to different people. Let us continue to support each other. I pray that when a Buddhist meets a Christian, that they find love for each other's devotion and is equally inspired by each other's path and continue to walk in parallel rather in tandem of contradiction. I pray that when a Jew meets a Sikh, that they see each other's faith and they are filled with love for each other in the unique ways that they achieve enlightenment. I pray that when someone of indigenous faith meets someone who are Zoroastrian, they become immersed in the compassion that the perspectives of one another has to offer. When we say that that one truth, known by various names, is all loving, all peaceful, all truthful, all present, all knowing, this means that if you feel immersed in that you are on the right path. You know this, not by your enmity towards another, not by one's own doubt in another's tradition in order to empower your own, not by the judgment of a way which is seemingly different from your own, not by the chastisement of another faith, not by the exclusivity of your own, only by having trust in that all-pervasive truth in everything around you and everyone can one truly find inner peace. Because the truth of our existence is not defined in any one way in particular, but is instead a part of a cohesive whole. To be a part of that whole means to embrace each other's ways. Not to say that I am right and that you are wrong, but that we are each right in our own way and wrong in another. We are right in all the goodness that we provide for the world. We are right in all of the love that we have in our heart, but we are wrong for our anger. We are wrong for the ways in which we limit each other. We are wrong in the ways that we silence each other. We have our own limitations that we are working through, as is everyone around us. But we are right for looking for the possibilities as reflected in everyone. So let us continue to empower our own tradition as we look for faults of our own which prevent us from following that path. And let us continue to seek the virtues in others so that we may see what's possible within ourselves too. What is possible for one should and must be possible for another. We may use a different vocabulary, a different language to express that, but the point is the same, that we are all part of one greater whole, and it is our duty to be an element which is frictionless, rather than causing the whole system to freeze up just due to our own ignorance of the unity beneath our diversity. So, I pray to the Lord of Lords, the heart of hearts, the soul of souls, the source of sources. And I thank you for the divine mercy that you provide this world, the mercy that you provide the Christians, the mercy that you provide the Buddhists, the mercy you provide the Muslims, the mercy you provide the Jews, the mercy you provide those of indigenous faith, the mercy you provide the pagans, the mercy you have provided to all of the ancient traditions that have lived and died, the mercy you provide for the Hindus, the Jains, the Sikhs, the mercy you provide for the Taoists, the mercy you provide for the Zoroastrians. You are so merciful that you have created a path for everyone. May we all one day realize this, that it is in your infinite grace that you have created all of these different systems of realizing you, both personally and impersonally, through many forms, through one form, and through the formless, through the cultivations of virtues within and without, through the meditation on your essence, and to the expression of your energy. There is truly a path for everyone. Thank you. I am blessed to even be a knower of any path in particular, and let all other paths show me what is possible within my own too. May we all come together as a whole to recognize that we approach you from different directions, not because some are right and others are wrong, but because only you can be known from the infinite ways of approach. For you are the infinite, and your faces incomprehensible. May there continue to be new traditions as there becomes new ways of experiencing your glory. And may people find faith in the one that makes the most sense to them without judgment of others. For doing so only empowers their own path. No one has to practice all traditions, just the one that makes the most sense for them at that time. O Lord, may it be so. May it be so. May it be so. All right, had to get that out of my system before doing our meditation. Thank you, dear Inevitable, for the trio of roses that you had sent. And dear Samra, thank you for the hanging lights that you sent. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Gina, thank you for your trio of roses too. Om Kring Kalikaye Namaha. And dear Dob Darker, thank you for your heart meat too. The irony is, I too will probably be crucified one day for saying these things. But if that is my destiny, that is my destiny. Okay, let me reintroduce the mantra that I wanted to do at the end of the Sangha. As I mentioned in our book, we would be doing a special meditation at the end of the Sangha in reference to our author Sadhvi Bhagavati Saraswati Ji receiving her mantra from her guru, which is very auspicious. Such a moment is very rare to be a part of, but even in what she disclosed with us, she did not reveal her guru mantra because, well, you just don't do that. A guru mantra is only for you to know. But still, I would like to entreat all of us here on something similar. So I've gone through the process of creating a similar guru mantra, not to be given to anyone, because we'll be revealing it, but so that we can have insight on what kind of sounds that dear Sadhvi Bhagavati Saraswati chanted ever since she received her guru mantra. A guru mantra always starts with Om, and that it also often has a bija syllable. It doesn't always have one, but in yogic or tantric traditions, it is traditional to include a bija seed, another sound like Om that encaptures the essence of the divinity, which is another critical part of a mantra. I thought that it would be fitting to have the divinity be the very river in which she bathed in, the Ganga, as that was the form of the divine that revealed herself to her initially. While I was reading through the Kamika Agama, which is a text among, about other things, mantra creation, and the sound seed for Ganga, I learned, is the guttural, voiceless, aspirated consonant K. You could spell that K-H-A, K. And we usually add an anuswara at the end of the sound to turn it into a bija, so that becomes Kam. This is the bija for not just Ganga, but a particular form of Ganga called Jahnavi. It is said that Ganga is the daughter of this great being known as Janava, and so, or Jana. So she is known as Jahnavi, the daughter of Jana. So a bija mantra that would probably, in all likelihood, be maybe similar in essence to the one that our dear author received is something like this. Om Khang Jahnavyai Namaha, which means salutations to the daughter of Jana, Ganga. Om Kham. We invoke the essence of that. So I thought we'd meditate on this sacred mantra to feel included in the process of her receiving her Guru mantra without revealing what hers is. I obviously don't have background music to chant this along with because I think this might be one of the first times this mantra was publicly chanted, so I'm not sure of where it was chanted before. So to time our meditation tonight, I'll be using mala beads, very similar to the ones that she said that she chanted on, made of rudraksha, the fruit stones, the seed stones of the sacred rudraksha tree. These will be our stopwatch for tonight. I will start just after the Guru bead, and I will end just before the Guru bead. Guru bead named so because the Guru is the one which tells you where to start and when to end meditating. That's Om Kham Jahnavyai Namaha. This will be our meditation. Without further ado, I will begin. Oh, and what'd she say? She liked to meditate on her ring finger because her guru said not to use the pointer finger because that's used to scold. And she didn't like to use her middle finger because she didn't like the idea of flipping off the divine. So we'll use our ring finger too. Om Kham Jahnavyai Namaha. 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 Om Khang Jakhnavyai 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 Namaha. Om Khang Jahnavyai Namaha. Salutations to the Ganga. Jaya Gange, Jaya Gange. May that chanting relax you. And may the benefit of that mantra be received by everyone who didn't chant. Of course, those who chanted, you already received the benefit. For those who didn't, may my chanting be given to you as an offering, if you choose to accept it. So that is the essence of a bija mantra, one perhaps given, just like the Guruji of dear Sadhviji to her. But for those like us who don't have a Guru mantra, like her Guru and most Gurus recommend, we just chant the holy names without the bija. For example, we just chant Gange, 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 Gange. But I thought that we'd be a little spontaneous and come up with one tonight. Now I wanted to tell you what the benefit of that mantra in particular was. Allow me to figure this out with you as I have forgotten, just as we have a moment. And you know, let's see if I can share this with you on my screen. This will be very fun. Will it show up for you? I think it is showing up now. Allow me to zoom in. This is just kind of on the spot. I haven't planned this, but I thought, you know what, we might as well, just for the extra benefit to be received, and I'll make this nice and big for you. I found this list, I had to write it out myself because it doesn't appear anywhere on the internet. You have to find this in the Kamika Agama, of which very, very few translations exist. Here is a list of the meaning of every syllable in Sanskrit. And the color, I didn't know this, but each letter has a color that you should meditate on too, and a corresponding deity and power. I won't go through this all with you, but if you want this, I'll happily send you this PDF. We'll just go down to the one that we chanted together. This was in the Ka Varga of the guttural consonants, the letter Ka, which is, as we chanted, dedicated to Jahnavi. Actually, I misspelled this. I need to fix that. It's Jahnavi, which is the name for Ganga. And here's the power right here. It has the power to annihilate the effects of sinful deeds. So anything that we feel like we're holding on to unnecessarily, mistakes that we made, may that chanting give you that benefit. And I give you that benefit if you didn't chant as an offering. And as you can see, the color of that bija mantra is white. What shade of white? I forget exactly. There are many in the Agama. But all of the information is there in the Kamika Agama. So there's much, much more hidden in the scriptures than there is on the internet. Only so much has been revealed on the internet. And even of the translations that are available on the internet, not all of that content has been made widely available. So we can begin with that. Thank you. Right? It's like synesthesia. Isn't that wonderful? And you know, while I was going through the colors of each letter, I was thinking, oh my goodness, I already associate that color with that sound. Maybe there is a kind of deeper meaning behind that synesthesia. So this is the end of our live stream. Thank you all for joining. Actually, you know what? I'm kind of in the mood to sing. Do you ever feel like that? You just kind of want to sing? I want to sing to you. I don't know what I'm gonna sing. Thank you, dear Jen, for the hanging lights. Here, I'll start with this. Oh, dear Jen, who hails beyond the mountains, who comes bearing gifts of joy, thank you for lighting us up with some hanging lights, just as we all hang out together. I can't promise I'll be in tune. Thank you for your half a dozen tiny dinies who together squeal, yippee! And thank you for your paper crane, a reminder of what's possible when we, with our dexterous hands, fold paper in tandem, creating something out of what previously seemed like nothing. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Thank you, Starlight Wow, for your garden of flowers. You are as aromatic as them. Thank you, dear Jinx, for your hand hearts and heart me, and trio of roses 3. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Just as a mango tree bears its sweetness and fruit, once after a while, you take that fruit, put it to your lips, take a bite. Sweetness, oh sweetness is there. Where was that sweetness in fall? Where was that sweetness in winter? Where was that sweetness in spring? Only now that the fruit has come, do we taste the sweetness. Oh sweetness, you have arrived. Before the mango comes, there is a flower. Take off a petal of that, put it on your tongue and chew. Where is the sweetness? Maybe aromatically there is a sweet fragrance, but on your tongue all you'll get is just bitterness. Oh sweetness, where have you come from? If not the flower, take a leaf off the tree, put it under your tongue and swish. Oh sweetness, where are thee? You won't find any there. Take off a branch and pick your teeth. Oh sweetness, one cannot find thee. Take off a bark, peel it from the tree, chew on it. Nothing will happen in the form of sweetness. Oh sweetness, please allow me to see. Drill a hole, take out its sap, drink it, and you'll find no sweetness. Oh sweetness, where are thee? Grind up the sawdust, put it in a paste, cover your teeth, and you'll see no sweetness there. Oh, where are thee? Not in the soil, not in the water, not in the sky, not in the sun. But sweetness comes once the fruit is born, carrying with it nectarine joy. Thus this is a lesson to all of us here. At first where no sweetness appears to be, with patience and patience just wait and see, and eventually you'll taste something sweet. You can say it wasn't there, but actually it was. It was hidden all along. It has to have come from somewhere. It was always in that tree. Alright. I don't know what came over me. Spontaneously singing. think you guys just inspire it in me. Thank you. I have to warn you, I feel like that might happen again. You might have to bear my out-of-tune singing as I sing to the divinity within you, as this live stream is an offering. Asatoma satgamaya tamasoma jyotirgamaya mrityorma amritangamaya Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om. Let there be peace. Oh, I didn't get to that part yet. Wait. Lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to the light, from death to deathlessness. Om. May there be peace in our environment. May there be peace within ourselves, and may there be peace in the forces that compel us. Pardon me. No one was brave enough to submit a guest request, but that's quite alright. I'm happy to have you all here, and I look forward to being here again. May I continue to work on all of my limitations, take accountability for my mistakes in any way in which I was unable to connect the bridge of understanding from my heart to yours. I will always consider this. And if I don't, counting on you to hold me accountable. Can you do it from your laptop, asks Orla. I don't know. I'm not sure. Somewhere there might be a button, but maybe we'll wait till next time. Thank you, dear Jen, for the ice cream cone that you sent. Here is the sweetness. Ram Ram. And Gina, Gina, Gina. Thank you for the pair of gimme the votes and a heart me. Om Dum Durgaye Namaha. You get closer to requesting each time, shares Orla, and one day the sweetness will arrive. Thank you, Not to Stand You, sir, for your heartney and witchy kitty. As always, not a single gift is expected. The greatest gift is the opportunity for me to be here. At the end of my life, I will not have any money, but I will have given my presence, and so that means the most to me. That opportunity. Radhe, Radhe. Good night, dear Danielle, from the province of my birthplace, Alberta. Good night, dear Ushabai. Thank you, dear Jenks, for the quintet of roses and another 17. Om Namah Shakti Shivaya. As always, I'll put the recording of this live stream up on my Yamsox Lives YouTube channel. If you ever notice that sometimes I'm delayed, sometimes that's just me being lazy like last night. But other times, actually it takes a day to download the live stream. Sometimes TikTok holds it for a day in processing, but I try to upload it as soon as I can, along with the clips of our meditations, our readings, and our show and tells, in case you ever want to check them out. That's there for you. Yamsox Lives is the name of that YouTube channel, also linked in the link tree of my bio. Thank you, dear Loopy Lane, for your friendship necklace as well. Om Kamalir Mahakalikaye Namaha. Om Haum Jung Saha. Om Bhur Bhuvasvaha. Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushti Vardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiya Mamritat. Om Swaha Bhuvaha Bhuhu Om Saha Jum Ham Om. Thank you, dear Tan. How are you? For your heart, me too. May you all have a wonderful rest of your present moment. Namaste.